How do you see the demand for data sets improving in the future as voice technology and other virtual assistant continue to develop?
Well, the goal in this industry is to build a product that will understand what everybody says, and most importantly, what everybody means, regardless of their language, their origin, their accent, their background, their language, in the domain they are, or the topic they are discussing. Well, obviously, we're very far from that, right? So currently, we have, generic purpose voice assistant that understand people reasonably well. Now, everybody who's using Siri, Alexa, Google Voice figures out that currently, in most cases, when you're talking to your phone, it understands more or less what you're saying. However, if you have an accent like myself, suddenly the recognition goes down. If you're talking about a particular topic, goes down. There are many more. If you're talking with somebody who's like a completely different background, educational background, using different vocabulary, there are some populations that are not well understood. So I think we are very far from having this, GRAL, this general purpose voice assistant that understands everything pretty much. So what's happening now is those companies are still going a little bit into new language, new accent, but they are going more into edge cases, right? Edge cases, more very specific domain, very specific clients. And those data sets are becoming more and more important, because it's not useful to have an engine that understands 85% of what you're doing, right, of what you're saying. It's sufficient in some situations, the 85%, but it's still very far from 100%. So to get from this 85% to like 95%, while your event burger service is going to be workable and you can launch it, it's going to require a lot of efforts. If you want, as we were discussing before, you don't want any frustration on the user side because something is not understood, and then I don't know whether you do that, but quite a lot when I call a call center, after a while I just say operator, operator, operator until I can talk to somebody, right? So if you want to avoid this kind of situation, if you want to be always in a situation that people are understood in that specific use case, you're going to need a specific collection. You're going to need to address that edge case with a training data set, and I don't see that slowing down anytime soon, because new edge cases are coming up every day, basically.
So Michel, you've told us a little bit about e2f, but can you go into more specifically how you got involved into data collection and how it relates to your core business?
Yeah, so our core business is localization. So that's what we've been doing, in the last 15 years. So localization, people who don't know what localization is will still understand the word translation. So we are, originally we are a translation company, localization company, I would say like a language company. So we have the people all over the world translating text, usually from English to their language. So we have linguists in pretty much every language. So that's where we started. And so what happened, one of our very large tech client in the Bay Area, I would say like maybe 6-7 years ago, as they were working on their voice assistants, and because they knew we were already translating their content, so they asked us whether we would help them also develop the voice engine for other languages. So that's how we started. So by working with them in the core development of voice engine, we started understanding how those first of all how the engines are built, but also how much data is needed to really train those engines to so that they perform to an acceptable level. And then it was natural at that time for us to move from really the engine side to really the data side.
So Michel, you've briefly explained earlier the role of e2f in data collection. Can you explain how and why you got involved in data collection?
So as a company, we started as I said, as a translation company, localization company. So we are used to translate websites, marketing material in all languages. Our team is worldwide, and they have always paid a lot of attention to the emerging parts. So like if you go to a website, if you say like you're Italian and you go to a local version of an American website that is in Italian, if the text doesn't sound right, if the if the product is described with words that you would not use or that an Italian company would not use, you're a little bit suspicious about the quality of the product, about the quality, and then you may want to buy from like an Italian, a local brand, because you trust them, right? So by the quality, the linguistic quality of a marketing website, it really is very important on the perception of the brand, right? But you may still order, right? So again, you're an Italian guy, you see a product in Italian, not very well described, but sufficiently well, but you know the brand, they advertise, you trust them, you'll buy the product. Now, when you're talking about voice assistants, so we are all using, Siri, Alexa, Google Voice, one of those voice assistants in our daily life. If you talk to one of those, to your phone, and your phone does not understand you, this is becoming more personal, right? Because now it's not about, a brand trying to explain something to you. It's about one device understanding what you're saying, and then it touches your identity, right? And there are the many studies that have been done around that. If your phone does not understand you, if you have the perception that your voice, your accent, your background, whoever you are, is not understood, then again, you make it very personal, and it gets you frustrated, it gets you upset, and then you're going to reject, right? So the many people use the voice assistant, try the voice assistant, and if the first 3-4 sentences that they said were not understood, they just stopped, and then they it completely stopped using it, and that happens a lot. And then now, if you are, so that's for a phone, but if you are providing a service like an ordering service or a call center support, whatever, using a voice recognition, and that is not working, people will take it personally, right? Not only they call you because they have an issue with their bank account, their insurance, so they are trying to get something from your call center. So they already have an issue, and now you're providing them with a voice service that does not even understand them. That increases the frustration, and then they will be really, that your branding will suffer a lot. So for brands to reach the level of understanding that is like over 95%, it is really important to improve the user experience, and I would argue that this is even more important than the quality in the translation industry. So for us, coming from the translation industry, understanding how words are important, how you can guide a buying decision by having a really good linguistic quality. We also understand on the other side how it is extremely important for brands to, on the recognition side, to be as equally or even more precise and accurate in the understanding of the person talking to them.
So, Michel, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate the time you've spent explaining data sets and how you contribute to the creation of bespoke data sets. Do you have any recommendations, suggestions for organizations that would want to get involved in creation of data sets?
Yeah, the first thing is don't think it's easy. So if you have a client coming to you and say, I want 100 hours of recording in Spanish, and then just because you have an office in Spain, don't think you're going to be able to do it just like that. Is more complicated than just recording, right? Recording is just collection, but as I was explaining before, there are many pitfalls in collection that you could fall into, and that would bias the content that you're providing. So, but beyond that, beyond the collection part, you need to have a development team that is very flexible, very agile, and ready to tackle any project thrown at them in a very short time. So if you don't have your own development team, if you have to rely on external resources or a contractor, I would say you may have a hard time. You need to in-house have a flexible development team, maybe with some extension outside, but you need to have a core development team, small, flexible, and really understanding those new technologies. At the same time, you also need to have an in-depth understanding of if we are talking about languages here, about the target languages, right? At the transcription level, but also at the cultural level, at the demographics level, you need to have an in-depth linguistic capability. Same thing. So if you rely on a vendor that you have in Spain or a partner you have there, just make sure that they really are able to go deep at all levels of the language. And then finally, it is really important to be creative. I see a lot of language service providers, LSPs, trying to move into dataset creation. They have a tendency to have one way to recruit freelancers, freelance translators, or freelance project managers. For those type of projects, for data projects, the recruitment is going to be all over the place. Depending on the project, depending on the target demography, whether it's not only language, but it's also domain, it's a level of expertise, is going to be, it could be simple, but it could be very complicated to recruit participants that you will record. I also see a lot of companies using extensively the crowd to recruit, but it's hard to manage a crowd, and it's hard to have a crowd. A crowd is going to be generic, but it's very hard to have a crowd that is really specific in every of the data collection that you're gonna need. You may have a crowd of English speakers, even if you have a crowd of 10,000 or 100,000 English speakers, and you need to do a collection, as I was saying before, about software. How many software developers are going to have in this squad? You may not have a lot of those. So if you want to have a good collection for software, well, you're going to have to recruit software developers. You don't have them in your crowd. You don't know where they are. You need to be creative on the recruitment side. So I would say, again, don't think it's easy, and make sure that you are flexible on the development side, on the linguistic side, and on the recruitment side.
Well, Michel, thank you very much. We really appreciate your time. Looking forward to discussing bespoke data sets and AI further with you in future installments of our summer series. And we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you.